that commemorates the rich history of Black resistance. In August is known for many acts of Black resistance, dating all the way back to 1791. This was the year of the Haitian Revolution. So in this year, enslaved persons in what is now the island nation of Haiti rose up against their masters and eventually successfully campaigned for their freedom and the founding of this new nation. Additionally, 40 or so years later was the Nat Turner Rebellion. This event happened in Virginia and was 4 days of revolution led by Nat Turner, which his goal in this was to demonstrate to white persons the brutality of slave owning. 20 or so years after that was the Fugitive Slave Law Convention. This event was a convention held in New York State by members of reform organizations, including Frederick Douglass, to oppose the fugitive slave law, which was being proposed in legislation at the time. And this law would mandate that any fugitive slaves who escaped from slavery would be returned to their owners. Furthermore, quite a number of years later, as I'm sure you're all familiar with, was the March on Washington, led by Martin Luther King Jr. And then finally after that, only 2 years later, was the Watts Uprising. And this situation is going to be more and more familiar, as unfortunately. This uprising was a 6 days of protests in California after an African-American was stopped for a traffic stop. Members of his family came and were present at the scene, and then this one thing led to another, and the police started pushing and shoving, and people heard about this violence, and there was a mass reaction to these police incidents, which led to the 6 days of protests in primarily Los Angeles, but also other cities around California. So these are just some of the examples of events that have all happened in August. So you may be wondering, Black August, is this just Black History Month, Part 2? No. So during Black August, we honor Black freedom fighters, many of whom were killed by the state or imprisoned for defending Black lives. This was a statement made by Monifa Bandele for the movement of Black Lives in a statement to CNN. The event itself, Black August, was centered around the life of George Jackson. So in 1960, George Jackson, an African-American, was sentenced to from 1 year all the way to life in prison for a $70 gas station robbery. And by this time, police involvement and racism was fairly well known. And so while he was in prison, George Jackson devoted himself to learning about resistance strategies and finding a way to improve life for himself and his brothers in prison, primarily. Then after he had already been in prison for 10 years, in August 1970, his brother Jonathan, desperate for his brother's release from prison, was involved in a hostage situation at the Marin County Courthouse in California, which was organized to demand George's release. But unfortunately, Jonathan was killed in the commotion. Furthermore, 1 year after that, in August of 1971, George Jackson himself was killed during an escape attempt from the San Quentin State Prison in California. And so ever since that time, that sparked what is today's Black August celebration. So this quote is from Rachel Hertzing, a prison abolition activist. So after Black August, there was an idea that this could be a time that imprisoned people in the California prison system could use for reflection, for study, and to think about how to strengthen their struggles. Altogether, this gives us the month of Black August to use to reflect, to regroup, and re-energize the campaign for the rights of African Americans, both in the prison system and outside in general. So this leads us to all kinds of issues, including racism in the criminal justice system, mass incarceration, discriminatory policing, institutionalized bias, mental health support, economic justice, political representation, and the list goes on and on. Through all of this, in Black August, it's a time for movements to come together. So as you saw in the list of events that have happened all over the years, hundreds of years back, the progress that we're making today is part of a long legacy of movements for what is right. And in the middle of this, in your very own state college, is the 320 Coalition. This brings us to the segment of our presentation tonight where we have some speakers from the 320 movement who will be answering some questions for us about who we are, what we do, where did we come from, and where are we going with the 320 Coalition. So I believe we had Jeff, Lorraine, and Nanre.
Yes.
All right. Would you be able to start us off and talk about who we are?
Sure. Hi, my name is Lorraine Jones. I'm one of the co-leaders of the 320 Coalition. Incidentally, I know my thing says State College and NAACP. I switch hats every now and again. So tonight is 320 Coalition. So
right.
We are in the midst of the brutal shooting and police killing of Osaze Osagie. We started the 320 Coalition. Osaze was a beloved community member. He grew up here, right here in State College. He went to State High. He went on to Penn State, and he was a part of the community. They went in for, his parents called for a mental health check, and unfortunately, that ended his life. That day was the end of his life. And so once that incident happened, it sparked an outrage from community members. Several organizations, several different people came together on behalf of fighting for justice for Osaze. The 320 Coalition was formed. It's based on, our mission is to get justice for Osaze and his family, and work on reforms that contributed to his death. So that's basically who we are. In terms of what we do, we are a collective organization that work with many different organizations to make sure that we have justice for Osaze and his family, and also to work and to make sure that incidents that happened right here in State College never ever happens again, whether that be on the local, the state, or the federal level. So we're working with different government agencies to make sure that that doesn't happen again, and to make sure that we never forget what happened on March the 20th. And so I don't know if anyone else wants to speak in terms of where we're going. Is there someone, I wasn't sure if Nanre was here, if she wanted to speak. If not, I'll just continue to speak. In terms of where we're going, right now we are a coalition, and our goal is to get justice for Osaze. And so everything that we do is surrounding making sure that we're working on issues that get justice for Osaze. And so that's where we're going. We are not ending this coalition until those needs are met. We've currently met with local governments in terms of talking about what are some reforms we can work on locally. And I think Jeff will speak more onto that. And just trying to make sure that we have things in place. There is no need for, we believe that there is no need for police to come on a mental health check, if they have to come, they shouldn't come with guns. So having a mental health condition is not a crime, and it shouldn't be treated as such. And so we want to make sure that no one within our community has to endure death because people are not properly trained to deal with those different incidents. And so to that end, we will continue to work on these issues and make sure that that doesn't happen. So we are open to anyone that believes that values the human life and their dignity, and anyone that wants to work within our coalition, we're welcome to work with people on that level. And so, in terms of where we're going, continue to work on issues locally, continue to work on issues and with representatives and senators at the state level as well as nationally. So,
yeah, thank you very much. So we're definitely a local coalition, but also have ties with the larger movements around us.
Yes.
And Jeff, would you care to add to the questions we have here?
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Jeff Landers Nolan. Am I popping up for everybody? Okay, looks like I am. Good. So my name's Jeff Landers Nolan. I'm a state college local. I'm part of the 320 Coalition, and I've been part of it since the week after the shooting last year, March 20th, 2019. So Lorraine gave kind of an overview of who we are. Generally, we're a collection of people and representatives from different organizations who are all recognizing the fact that what happened to Osaze was wrong, and that there was a further wrong when his killing was ruled as justified, which was not a surprise to anyone who was following the case from the beginning. The statements made at the outset from some of the authorities involved kind of gave us that impression, which is why the coalition came together and has been working from the very beginning through the past 17 months to try to work towards both justice for Osaze specifically and some greater structural and underlying changes to try to make sure this doesn't ever happen again, like Lorraine said. I'm involved specifically because of my background. I'm a mental health professional. I previously worked for a mobile mental health crisis. This is, at this point, 7, 8 years ago, so well before this happened to Osaze. But what happened that day on March 20th is that police were there to serve a 302 warrant, which is a warrant to take someone into custody and transport them to a hospital for a mental health evaluation and possible treatment against their will. And that's something that Sylvester Osagie, Osaze's father, reluctantly asked for because he was concerned about his son. On its face, one of our guiding principles is that no one should needlessly die in any interaction with police, especially given that they are there for that person's health and well-being. They were there to serve that mental health warrant in order to protect Osaze's life because he was presenting potentially as a danger to himself or to others. And the whole mindset of a call like that is to protect a person's life, and they wound up killing him instead. So there are some really fundamental problems with how that happened. And as someone very familiar with how 302 warrants go down, I've not heard anything in the past almost a year and a half at this point that tells me that the shooting is in any way justified. So in terms of what we do, there's a lot of different angles to how we try to push for change and how we try to get both justice and change to happen in the future. You may have, if you're around State College, you may have seen some of our actions, some of our demonstrations, just occupying streets, doing teach-ins in July. And we also try to maintain a presence at the State College Borough Council every week. They're the government body most connected to the State College Police Department. We've tried to leverage some pressure against the district attorney, who's the person most responsible for deciding whether or not to file charges against the officers, and is also presenting a barrier to releasing the names of the officers who were involved. In terms of mental health reform, we've also spent a lot of time talking with the county commissioners. Last year, our coalition was a driving force behind the Community Mental Health Forum that happened in June of 2019. And that was an impetus for, I think, a lot of airing of really negative experiences that people have had in the mental health system, trying to get treatment for themselves or others. We know that much like policing, it's a system that unfortunately does not serve lots and lots of people, whether by design, whether because it's broken as a matter of opinion. We know that it does not work the way it should, or the way we want it to. So there's a mental health task force that is underway right now. It's been underway for the past almost year. The coalition does have representation on that task force. We don't know 100% what the recommendations will be. We're also trying not to wait on that task force to provide direction on what mental health reforms should happen. So one of the things that we would like to see as soon as possible is, like Lorraine mentioned, guns taken out of any sort of mental health call or check or warrant that the police are on. State law says right now that any involuntary commitment has to be facilitated by police. That's a problem as well. Changing state law is a little bit slower, but there's no law that says that the police transporting someone on a mental health warrant have to be armed or have to have their service weapons on them. So far, local departments have, as you can imagine, not been open to that, but that's one of our big pushes. Something I've said over and over again as a mental health professional. Basic suicide prevention is that if there's a firearm within someone's access, removing that firearm from their home, from their access, drops the likelihood that they will attempt and then successfully commit suicide precipitously. Just taking a gun out of the situation means that everyone's a lot safer. When police go into a mental health call, something that's already a crisis most of the time, they're always carrying a firearm. And if there wasn't one already in that situation, now we've increased the danger 2 or 3-fold, and that doesn't need to happen. So that's one of our big pushes as far as mental health is concerned, because it's a simple, fast, and practical solution that would result in a lot less danger and a lot fewer deaths, most likely in the future. We're also interested, kind of larger scale, in making sure that social services, including mental health, are adequately funded. We know that over the decades, over the years, funding has been shifted towards militarization, towards police. This is countrywide, not just in Center County. But it means that the police are de facto responders for all mental health calls, just like jails are now our de facto mental health treatment centers. And neither of those systems is set up to do that. So we need to readjust as a community, as a society, to put our dollars where our values are. And that's one of the things that we're pushing for as well. If it's okay, Laura, I'm going to share my screen real quickly and just share the 10 demands that our coalition came up with. Give me one second. Here we go. So if you can all see that, this is a document that we generated as a coalition in June. You can see the title up there in the top left, June 7th. These are the 10 demands that we delivered to the State College Borough Council at that time. And this is, kind of our starting point. It really has been our driving force for the past 17 months. There are lots of other things we would like to do in addition, but these are our first goals that we would like to accomplish. So far, only one of these things has been accomplished, and it was one actually that is already in place, the ban on knee holds and chokeholds. There are several of these that are in process. For example, the Community Advisory Board is actually now a Community Oversight Board and is currently being studied in order to implement it with the State College Police Department. There's a few other things in motion, but we would love to have people join us and help in continuing to keep that pressure on to remind our government systems that they work for us. And we want them to pursue both justice and change for the future. If there are others from the coalition who would like to speak, I know that I saw Leslie and Terry. If there are any other people, if you'd like to speak as well, please feel free.
Thanks, Jeff. I think you did a wonderful job, and Lorraine, with the overview I think it's important for those people, I'm glad that you actually had the demands to pull up, that these are 10 demands that we are still enforcing. So it's wonderful that we have made these strides and that the borough and the police department are now taking recognition of our demands, but it requires an entire community to get behind it for accountability so that they are realized in our community. And so weekly, when they hold borough council meetings or the township meetings, you can go attend, listen, and ask questions about how far they are, what they've accomplished so far to hold them accountable. So like Jeff mentioned about the Community Oversight Board, it's going to take at least another 3 months for them to fully establish it. There is a committee that has been adapted in order to select and create the rules and the outlines, and there is a national organization that's being consulted in order to establish it for State College. The establishment of a diversity and inclusion officer for the borough and the police department has not yet been implemented, but they're going to have to draft a job description. They actually passed and voted on a resolution so that they would stay committed to these ideas and these options. So it's important because we're just wanting to hold them accountable that silence is not an option. And even in the middle of this pandemic, they need to pay attention to the reform that has to be accomplished and to reduce policing of our community, to reduce and remove guns from the service of the mental health 302 warrants, to allocate funds to other programs that address issues of violence that benefit the public at whole. These are the things that we want to hold them accountable for. And so we encourage you to take action if you're not already an active part of 320 or another social justice organization in our community. So thank you for sharing the mic, Jeff.
And Jeff, you mentioned somebody else you thought might like to speak?
Yeah, and thank you, Leslie. And I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but I saw Terry in here as well. Terry, if you'd like to say anything, please feel free, or give us oh, Terry says he's having mic problems. So maybe not, or we can circle back if you'd like to, Terry, once your mic is working.
And one thing I thought it might be beneficial to go over while we're talking about the 320 Coalition too is the different committees that we have and opportunities for people to get involved, if anyone can speak to that.
I can speak to that a little bit. So currently we have 7 different committees. One of them is the legal committee, which is part of trying to make sure that we raise funds for bail funding in terms of when our members are going out and protesting in case we're going into areas where that might be a potential arrest, may be, potential. So the legal committee is in charge of making sure that we have bail funding and legal representation. We also have the educational committee, which is in charge of, going out and making sure the community is well educated, politically educated, and understand the intersectionality of race and mental health, along with other things that we deem contributed to his death. We also, I'm sorry, I have a little one in the background. We also have a youth committee, which we just started recently. And that one is to actually kind of educate and give political education to our youth, because we know their voices are very important, especially when we are involved in things of this nature, making sure that they are a part of knowing what's going on and being part of the decision making and the process of being part of 320. We also have the reform committee, which is which Jeff, Melanie, she's not here, and Leslie have been like a crazy force that has been relentless in the council meetings and talking and representing so well there. How many did I say so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What am I missing?
Direct action?
Direct action. How could I forget direct action?
It's 8 o'clock.
Direct action are another powerful force that are out there on a weekly basis that are making sure that Osaze's name is at the forefront and that the community is not forgetting about who he was. He was a beloved member of our community, and never forget what happened to him, and never forget, that he was loved. So that's what direct action does. Okay, help me out here. Like,
So
one,
social media or publicity?
social media communications, they're the ones that make sure that these emails go out. That is very important for the organization. Making sure the emails go out, making sure that we have flyers, and everybody's connected. We're meeting Laura, we're meeting different people, and we're having a voice at different tables for the the organization. We also have a Black Healing group, which is a group that, because this work is such a burden, for Black people, it is very heavy to carry, but it's not work that we can get away from, because this is a part of our lives, everyday lives. And so we need a place that we can try to revitalize, regroup, and have a sense of community within Black people. And so that has been a space that Tierra has really been really good at bringing Black folks together and having a space where they can do yoga, where they can just unwind and let their hair down and pretty much heal and get back on the force again. So did I miss anything else? Becky, help me out. I think
Lorraine, did you mention the youth one?
yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I missed it, sorry.
Yeah, and so all of these different committees all work together for that one mission of bringing justice to Osaze and his family, and making sure that we're changing structures that contributed to his death. And so all of those groups align. And so we work in concert with one another for the same goal. And so, so that's what the groups, we strongly encourage people to get involved with these different groups. If you didn't hear a group that you may be necessarily interested in, I was like, oh, well, I'm not sure about education. Oh, I'm not sure about reform. We always need help with different things. So there may be, any task is not too little for you to get involved in 320 and help out. The more hands that we have, the better it is for the organization and for our community as a whole. So, Jeff, did I forget anything?
Out there for that too. I only joined the organization back in beginning of June, so it's a great chance for the community to get involved. Question?
Yeah. I like what you guys are doing. Thank you. I know Osaze Osagie very well. What I have here is the phone I contacted him with. I'm not sure what to do with it, but I remember I contacted him basically when he was on his manic episodes. I remember I contacted him in 2015, and he was so scared to look at baseball and the news. I told him to watch something else. I tried to help him, and I think that went completely,
Yeah, Dennis has really been involved in the different things that we've done. One of the things that we also try to make sure that we keep front and center is making sure that we're honoring and respecting the family and what their wishes are. And so, there's people like Dennis, his family, that really loved Osaze and knew him. My family was one of those people. Leslie was one of those people, and Dennis, of course, was one of those people, to make sure that they knew that he was loved and he was missed. So thank you, Dennis, for sharing that with us.
You're welcome. It's so sad. My whole life is going downhill afterwards. I know one of my friends recently bailed on me, just kind of left during a party that I had for Osaze. Because I was mentioning about one Pierre, which her name should be nameless. I kept beating myself on the arm and him myself a lot. It's been going pretty much not very well. is there any way, like, the reason I'm coming here today is there a way that, like, we could try and make it a little easier for me, like, I still be a part of the protest, but still working on my mental illness, because, like, this is going pretty much nuts right now. Like, you know, I've been pretty much not feeling like myself at all. Like, one time I tried to get roll myself in the hospital, but that really, you know, didn't do very well as I planned. They said, there's nothing wrong with you. You have to get the fuck out. Yeah, they kind of like said that. Excuse my language. But also, like, I had this also issue too with Can't Help, because Can't Help could be like basically over dramatic. They could be very corruptive. Like, I can have some very bad experience with Can't Help to the point I hate their guts and wish bad things happen to them, which my friend like purposely called Can't Help, which was no issue at all. And then like I threatened him, I kind of called him a racist, do web to Osaze Osagie, but like that's not there. Like, then after that phone call, after that thing just got back together, the pieces got back together, I just wish bad things happened to Can't Help and they got shut down. You know, yeah. I never like.
We appreciated the speech. Dennis had planned a speech in the annual death of Osaze for March, but unfortunately it got shut down because we had the coronavirus. So I think we would love to have, if you could email me, Dennis, maybe we can find a time for you to share a little bit more about your experience and the things that you knew about Osaze, and maybe we can find other ways to support you as well. So, but we thank you for being here tonight. Did you have?
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Sorry, dude. Sorry. I'm really sorry.
No, you're good.
It just. Sorry. I'm very sorry. Can't speak. Maybe after you.
Go. No, you go ahead.
It just also like I remember last year was kind of bad too. Like I'm not gonna say names or whatever, but there was the two people that look. I'm very sorry about this. There's like two people that I thought that there were plans to do a protest Strawberry Fields. To learn from Lillian Tyler that there never was any plans to do a protest. My staff member, please excuse him. He doesn't any longer works here. Like he thought and assumed that there was a protest Strawberry Fields, which you know never happened. Like I guess like there were no plans of it at all. You know, yeah. It was just kind of like this like huge thing, and then I met just appeared for 320 and she got upset and like, you know, and then our friendship kind of got effed up, you know, sorry. It's like, you know, I'm not here to cause trouble, but if you really want to know what I do on my Facebook, I really love to start Facebook arguments, you know, because it's funny, but like, I'm not there to outget people or outweigh people. Like, it's just like, when they closed me out of that Facebook group, I just got real irritated, confused, and know what's going on, you know. I'm not here to outget people. I'm not here to talk trash about people. I'm just there to try to help possibly can for Osage's death, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. And we appreciate that, Dennis, and thank you for sharing your perspective. I want to make sure before we move on from this part of the program, I was watching to see, and I think Terry might have his mic issues sorted out. Terry, you can let us know if that's true or not. But if you'd like to speak at all.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I hear you.
Oh, that's wonderful. So the one thing I wanted to add, and it sort of talks about the collaboration with 320, is as we have multiple townships. And this been mentioned a couple of times about attending those township meetings. But what we definitely need to do is have representation at each and every single township. So whatever our message is, it is reaching all of State College and not just the borough. So that was one thing I want to add to what Lorraine and Jeff and Leslie were saying. But you guys said everything pretty well. So thank you.
Yeah, and I think I remember someone saying in a previous meeting that the State College Borough has its own police force, but then each of the township also operates police,
Right.
correct?
So we have Patton, we have Ferguson, we have the Borough College, and Harris.
Mhm. So there's many different avenues in which to take action. And unless we have any more questions or people to speak, I think that's bringing us towards the close of our program. I have a couple more things to share with everybody, but do I see any hands or comments, questions? I'll get the screen sharing back up and see if we have anyone. Let's see. All right, yeah, thank you everyone for sharing. It doesn't look like we have any further questions at this time. So you got the brief overview of who 320 is and how we fit into the broader movement happening in America as well. Finally tonight, I want to alert you to some of the other events that 320 is putting on as part of the Black August Celebration Week in State College. Tonight we had our first teach-in about 320 and the Black August celebration. Tomorrow at 5 p.m., we have another teach-in about the dual pandemic, COVID and policing. So I know we have some plans to talk about how there's already discrimination in policing and how some of the policies with coronavirus might inadvertently make that worse. Wednesday night, we're moving later again, 7 p.m. again online with another event, teach-in. We have defund/abolish the police. And you'll see a question mark here because rather than promoting a certain ideology, we want to take the opportunity to present what exactly these ideas are and then open the floor for some discussion. Thursday is mostly action focused. All day online, we'll be doing a blackout. If you've checked the Facebook group or some of our other social media, email, so on, we have some icons that we're hoping people will change their profile picture to represent the movement and get more awareness of the what's happening around here. Additionally, sponsored by 320, we have from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. we're organizing calls to action for Osaze. And this will involve making phone calls or sending emails to our local officials so that they know that we're really serious about this. And then finally, we'll have collaboration with the Black Caucus. They're doing an Instagram live event on Thursday at 6 p.m. On Friday, Strategies for Justice, which is another affiliation organization we're kind of affiliated with, will be doing a view party of the virtual March on Washington. And this year, this is a national event that's happening in reminder of the original March on Washington with Martin Luther King Jr. So then again, that is happening online. And then finally on Saturday at 4 p.m., we're having an in-person event, masks definitely advised, hopefully required. And this will take place in downtown State College with more educational content and march around downtown. So we hope to see you at some of these events, either online or in person. And then finally, to close us out, sorry, 2 more slides, almost closing us out. I'm sure after tonight's presentation, you might be wondering, what can I do now? So we have some suggestions for you tonight. Number 1 would be participate in some of our other events this week. Number 2 would be to like our Facebook page. If you search 3/20 Coalition, you should be able to find us, and I'm sure some of you came to us from there. There's also a Google Doc, a Google form where you can sign up for one of our working groups, and these are the committees that we mentioned earlier. I'm guessing that Allison's handling the chat here, so maybe we can get that Google Doc link in there also. And if not, I can throw it in there after we wrap this up. And our 4th recommended action is to read some of the information about Osaze's case, including the DA report, District Attorney's report, and also check out the State College page put up by the local government with information about the case. So thanks, Jeff, for some of these pages. And then finally, in the course of making this presentation about Black August, I found a couple sources that anyone who is interested in further reading might be interested in. So I'll leave this up here as well. We have 3 websites or articles about Black August specifically, and then the last one is the book by George Jackson himself called Soledad Brother, Prison Letters of George Jackson. And this book is available in Penn State's library, not at school library, unfortunately, but it is also available in the online version. So if you're interested in checking that out, you are able to do so. I think Allison's following up in the chat, and unless we have any more information from our presenters tonight, I think everyone is free to go. Thank you so much for participating tonight, and thank you to our speakers, and we hope to see you at some of our events later this week.
Thank you for putting this together. Beautiful opportunity. Thank you so much, Allison and Laura. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you. See you again soon. We'll be on a couple more minutes watching the chat in case we have questions and keeping the links up.
Bye.
Bye.
As soon as I find my leave button, I'll be good.
I know I don't want to kick anyone out. This is my first time leading, so.
No, you just say you don't have to go home, but you have to get out of Zoom.
Okay.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All right, and I think that about wraps up the meeting. Thanks again.